So we like to tell our kids that bullying, challenges, those rough encounters that you experience in elementary, middle school, and high school don't really follow you after you graduate. You can put all that stuff behind you and continue to live your life and learn from them. But tonight's story proves that that isn't always true because some moments don't stay in the past, they actually move in. This is a story of a man who took one encounter of humiliation that happened in high school and he carried it with him for over 50 years. And what happened when he finally decided to answer it. Tonight's Chaos Story of the Week, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to Comfort and Chaos. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit the subscribe. It's rodeo season here in Texas, so we down here like to say, hey, 'tis the season. And if you would like to support the channel even further, there's links in the description down below. Get yourself some cool Chaos merch, just like this, and a bunch of other items. Let's get on with tonight's story. So the man's name was Carl V. Erickson. In the 1950s, Carl was a teenager in a small town in South Dakota where he attended high school. Carl, he wasn't the loud type. He wasn't the athletic type. He wasn't the invisible type. But he also wasn't the respected type either. He was just that average kid, that average student. Just stayed quiet, minded his own business. But Carl also was a sports manager in the athletic department. For those of you who don't know, a sports manager, they're not really part of the team like athletes. They're not part of the coaching staff. They support the team and the coaching staff, both pre-game, post-game, pre-practice, and post-practice. They're over there getting the towels ready, cleaning the equipment, getting everything ready for the players, and then, of course, whatever the coaches needed. As a sports manager, he cleaned all the equipment. He carried all the gear. He stayed close to the athletes, but at the same time, he was never one of them. He was close enough to belong, but yet far enough to be targeted. One day, inside that locker room, the line was finally crossed. One of the athletes by the name of Norman Johnson, who at the time was a popular track star, humiliated Carl in front of everybody with the good old prank with the jockstrap. The jockstrap prank is when one individual places a jockstrap on top of another individual's head, which is exactly what happened to young Carl. Norman placed the jockstrap on top of Carl's head, and then all of a sudden a series of laughter throughout the whole locker room just embarked upon Carl. The kind of laughter that let Carl know where everybody stands. No teacher stepped in, no apology was ever followed, and the moment just literally passed. But it didn't end, because shame doesn't need witnesses to survive. Think about it. It only needs a memory, in Carl's case. So Carl graduated. He grew up. He aged. And on paper, he lived a normal life. But people who knew him described him as a man who was very withdrawn, very quiet, and always deeply anxious. He struggled with depression for years. This is recorded. But that locker room moment was never addressed, never brought up. Carl never confronted it. He never talked it out. Truly just never processed it, which is important. Instead, it followed him into adulthood like background music to a video or movie, constantly pounding in his mind, manifesting inside his thoughts, just always there. There's hints. Oh, we're rolling? So time continue to pass by. Adulthood start to creep in. And as you know, the one thing we can't control is time. So it continued to flow. And Carl got older. And as he got older, something changed. He held on to that grudge. He held on to that emotion. And something changed in Carl. In his mind, the future got shorter. And regret got even louder. And the past started to just feel like it was just unfinished, unsettled. He had unsettled business. You know, psychiatrists later said that Carl suffered from the fact that his humiliation lived in his subconscious for literally decades, that it shaped how he saw himself and how he saw the world. And at some point, Carl decided the score was still open and it needed to be settled. And I've mentioned this to you guys multiple times, that holding a grudge, it doesn't really hurt anybody but the person who's holding the grudge. And when you don't process those emotions and you hold them in and you let them manifest, then it leads to a reaction. But that reaction is not based off logic. It's based off emotion, just like Carl. So time passed by. And in January 2012, Carl, who is now 73 years old, got into his car, drove to Norman Johnson's home. He didn't call ahead. He rang the doorbell. And when the door opened, Carl pulled out a pistol and fired 2 shots. In that moment, the high school locker room in Carl's mind finally went silent. Now, after all this, Carl didn't run. He was arrested. He was then interviewed and evaluated by law enforcement. He even pled guilty, but with being mentally ill. The court didn't see a bullied teenager. They saw a man who committed murder. Carl Erickson was then sentenced to life in prison. No release. Just another kind of confinement. A simple act which led to a simple crime and a simple judgment. All based off a grudge, an emotion that just refused to let go, refused to process. Now, this isn't a story about revenge. It's more about what happens when pain, the grudge, the emotions, you just keep it inside and you never address it. That's what it's about. Carl's just an example. When shame doesn't get confronted, it doesn't fade. It more just waits. Chaos doesn't always explode in your youth. It comes throughout our life. We're going to see it almost every day. And sometimes it waits until you're old enough to believe it's too late to do anything else, like in Carl's case. So remember this, comfort in chaos doesn't just come from settling scores. That's not comfort in chaos. It comes from facing the ones that live inside of you before they decide to act for you. If you're out there and you're feeling that grudge or emotion, process it. Do what it takes to address it, learn from it, grow from it, and get it processed before you react. Because right now, we live in a time where we're seeing people, no matter what side of the fence you're on, being tied down by this emotion, by this grudge. They're bringing it in, even though it has no application to them. And they're reacting. And the reaction is not really panning out well, because it never does. Not off emotion. So process it. Address it. Share it. Whatever you got to do to get through it before you get to that reaction phase. You know, I always tell my soldiers, you always want to focus on being proactive rather than reactive. And that's what I'm going to tell you guys. Let's focus on being proactive rather than reactive. Because when we're reactive, now it just raises all the levels, everything just goes up. but we're in control of that. And so are you. So learn from Carl here and learn that holding a grudge and holding that emotion for almost over 50 years, it's just going to manifest and it's going to lead to a result that it's going to affect not only you, but everyone in your circle, everyone that cares about you. And that's what we got to worry about. Value your circles. Identify that circle and value it, because that's what matters most. Okay? Thank you guys. Hey, thanks for tuning in. I hope this story hit something in you. And if it did, please comment down below, share your thoughts. And if you have a relation to this story, or you have something you'd like to share or some input, please comment down below. I will definitely see you in the comments. I always respond to the comments. I love interacting with you guys. So stay grounded and continue to find comfort in your chaos, guys. And I'll see you on the next video.